Okay. Hey, Per. Good to see
Hello,
you.
Hitomi.
It's good morning here. What time is it for you there?
Well, we do good evening here. It's 6:30 in the afternoon, so it's
Ah,
pitch black
excellent.
outside.
Yeah, it is getting to
Yeah,
be that time of the year, I'm afraid.
yeah,
But yeah, but we have a kind of an announcement to make, a very exciting one, don't we?
yeah. We got great news to deliver.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So, for some of the people out there who have had the pleasure of listening to you, like join me on our Patreon little visit earlier in the year, and I think some of you had kind of speculated that something was going on and something's cooking,
well,
and we finally got this wonderful dish
yeah.
that we've cooked up. And so the announcement today is here we are, Floristic Dialogue with myself and Pear. So
Yeah,
that's kind of what we're
fine.
up to, you guys.
Yeah, so finally I'm gonna get the honor of working together with Hitomi because I mean we have through all the years discussed all matters of design so much, and to bring this into a floristic dialogue and together with all the participants, I am so excited.
It is exciting
Mm.
because, as you say, we have known each other for a number of years and we've worked different programs and things together. And of course, in the back room, we always have these conversations, these lively conversations and discussions about what's going on in floristry and what do you think about this and what do you think about that. And it's just so engaging. I've always so much enjoyed talking with Per because he's a guy that's kind of discusses things right from the front, from the back side, from up, turn it upside down, as he mentioned, like in his little intro statement. And I love what you said, that in the end to land in this safe place and that you've come to learn something more intimately. I just
Yeah.
love what happens between us quite often. And
Yeah,
so we're just
I totally agree. Because that is the thing, to not be afraid of asking any questions or coming with comments. I mean, we should turn everything upside down to discover new things within old subjects, and that's the way, at least I feel, that we develop as designers. And we
yes.
have seen every time we've been in a discussion, we've come up with some new things, and that's what both Tom and I hope now with the floristic dialogue, to invite you all to discover new, to develop, and to develop together.
Yeah, no, it's very,
Mm.
very good. And it's kind of a very open conversation. Nobody needs to be afraid to ask any question because every question turns into something that's really like a real treasure of information. So, yeah, it's really exciting. And so basically what we're going to do is start off with our series with color because that's kind of like Per has just some incredible insight into color. And I have actually learned a great deal having conversation with Per about color. We've, like I say, we've been in a working situation where, we're at a place and we're going to the market and we're looking for stuff. And then I'm always so intrigued when I'm working with another designer, other designers, and seeing what they do, in this same circumstance. I'm picking my stuff and there's Per, I'm picking, it's like, just curious, like, oh my God, that's interesting. So then I would ask him, why did you pick that? Because I think that's the most intriguing thing about working sometimes together is that to see the differences in the way we approach things, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And when it then comes to color being the theme we start with, but it comes with all aspects of design. But with color, I have over the years developed, well, I would say my own color theory. I've taken the theories we've all learned and adjusted it, and to make it into my own comfortable zone, because there was several things with different color theories that I don't approve with and that I've had problems with, and I've realized I wanted to do in other ways. So over a period of actually 10 years, finally I sat down and wrote it all down in a book. That was a half a year of anxiety, I must say, because one thing to talk about it and teach it, because I had taught the theory for many years also, but put it in to print when there's no way to change, and you will always be, question for why did you do that, or why
Right,
is it
right.
this way, and you have to stand up for it. But I feel very comfortable with it today, and I've seen it's been a great tool for many designers to develop, because I think color has been the field within our craft that has been developed the least, because color theory has been color theory. We've changed styles, new techniques, new materials, but when we can, tumble around all things concerning color, there is so many new ways to work to be discovered. As you've seen many times when we work together, Hitomi, you don't understand why I put these colors together, but I mean, now after all the times we work together. But it's a very, I would say, I don't know if you agree with me, but it's a very natural way of working with color, because we
I
let the materials decide.
Right. But actually,
Yeah.
I think you take it sort of, you show it step by step. And I think what you formulated, your color system, is much more easier to absorb and to practice and put it into application than the theory, of the color wheel. And it's this, the science of, and it's like, how does that really work? Like, how do you actually formulate this in your head first, and then you're going to design this certain color harmony? Because naturally, what I find is that we design because we see beautiful flowers and we design it, and then it ends up to be that specific color harmony. It's not the other way around,
Yeah.
right?
No. And I start the opposite way. I always go for the colors, and I end up with whatever flowers were suitable for my color idea. And that's the thing with my color theory. I must say it's actually custom made for the floral designers and florists.
Yes.
Because if we take Itten or the color wheel, it's supposed to cover everything about color. I mean, from the wallpapers, the carpets, our clothing, cars. But flowers, botanical materials, is living material. It's constantly changing, and it does not fit into a circle. I mean, I usually call the color wheel the most square thing ever invented, because it's a safe zone, but it's extremely limiting as well. We need to get out of that square and
Right.
discover more about color and be more generous in ways of working.
Right.
I mean, we can't think only contrast or a triple or a square or this or that. We need to put in emotions into our color work to think of what do we want to say color-wise with our design. Because the thing is, as I will talk a lot about, but if we have a bouquet, what does a customer, a person on the street see first? Flower varieties or color?
Right.
We know from science that they see color first, but we focus so much on flowers, so we miss out on opportunities with customers for the everyday bouquet or big events or competition. So if we design in the way people in general prioritize their impressions in the mind, we can get to far more exciting places than we've been before.
Well, that was what that was my main intrigue. I think when I really work side by side with you, is and going to the market with you. And I remember, like, I know you love carnations,
Yeah, I have a little weak
and
spot for them.
yes, and then you went for the mums and daisies, and you also were intrigued. I mean, this was in Mexico, so the selection is a little limited at that time. And status, and I'm like, gosh, those are the most basic flowers. Like, here's this world
Yeah,
champion from the World Cup, and he's picking all these ordinary stuff. Like, what's with that? I mean, it was so interesting to me, and
yeah.
that's what in many ways was so. I really connected with you because you thought like an ordinary florist with ordinary means and ordinary selection, and you can make something magical through color. so that it
Yeah.
wasn't dependent on that you had to have, my favorite Gloriosa, you had to have this very special variety to be able to capture the customer's heart. Like you knew how to capture the customer's heart with color.
Yeah.
That's what I
But
loved
that's
about.
yeah. And I pull that even longer. It's quite hard to say what I say, but I say any designer can do something beautiful with beautiful flowers, exotic, special flowers. But to show who's really a truly good designer is the one who can create with our ordinary flowers.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
that's not that many designers that have that capability because they need all those beautiful ones. I spice up my designs with a few of the beauties because we need beauty in life, but I want to show the beauty with the ordinary ones. And they come in a color range today that's incredible.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And, that's another thing. I think, this was something in the making for a long time because I know I've thought about this working together with you and teaching together with you because of these kind of discussions. But what I love about your background, apart from the grand part about the winning the biggest competition in the world, that from that to having such a direct connection and good teaching dialogue with the ordinary florists because you do that too. Like you work with retail florists, you teach them how they can build a great business, and you teach them steps to how you can reach their best, their next
Yeah.
best. And I think that really resonates with me because I'm always troubled by floristry, that there's this sort of high-end floristry, this exclusive and competitive, which for a lot of retail florists, they don't understand why do they do that? Like none of that's applicable to me in my shop. But we can take some of that, what happens there, and distill it down to what it can do for an ordinary florist. And I love that you have that real connection from the real retailer, the hardworking people that's just trying to make a living, and let them experience some of the things, the tricks of the trade, the theory and thinking behind how they can elevate it to their next level. That it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be this and that this connects to that. I love that. This is the reason why we're doing this.
Yeah.
That's
But
why we're
that's it.
calling it Floristic Dialogue, because we need these
Exactly.
conversations.
Because we need a dialogue between people, we need a dialogue between parts of our industry. Because the thing is, if we don't have retail floristry, if we don't develop retail floristry, we don't have floral design either. They are dependent on each other.
Right.
And that some of us can work with couture, but couture is not for everyone. We know that we need, I mean, H&M fashion, I say using Swedish terms, or IKEA, because the majority, the retail is the importance. Without retail, there is no design part either. And I've always been extremely aware of that. And for me, it's simple. If I can help develop retail floristry, I help lift the whole profession. And then by lifting the bottom part, we naturally lift the top part. But if we lift the top part, we don't get the bottom part with us. So we need to work together in a dialogue.
Yeah, yeah. No, this
Yeah.
this is this is really exciting. I'm just really excited thinking about all the discussions that we could have because there's
Yeah.
just endless amount of issues within the industry. With the younger people coming in, with the way they're thinking, because we have to be very fluid. These are not static teachings, and these are not static discussions. It's very dynamic and it's always moving because the people that's coming into it is a different generation, different way of thinking. And how do we stay abreast of teaching the newest ways of thinking to fit the spirit of the time? I think that's also very important. Very
Yeah,
important.
and also to important to see where is the change, where are the things happening today? Is it in retail or is it amongst all these passionate growers that both grow their flowers, do designs, and start? I mean, we have an influx of much impression from that side that we need to digest and commercialize, because it's very important. How
Yeah,
can
you
we
got
do
to sell
that?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if we see where color, the use of color is changing most rapidly, that is on all these, as I call Instagram floristry, all passionate people. But then we have a lot of parts of our industry that doesn't develop because they don't have the knowledge or the keys to open up. And that's what I hope for this, that we can spread the word of what we can achieve by changing our view on color with simple matters, with affordable designs, with simple, even cheap designs, because we are dependent on the smallest little bunch or bouquet, the simple one, to the big wedding, to a big party. But we cannot just choose one part. Not the most of us. There's a few designers that can choose, okay, I only do this. But the majority of us florists or floral designers, we do all of it.
Right. And you and I, and many of the people that's going to be in our group, teach. And we have to stay abreast of what's going on. And
Yeah.
that's why we have to have these discussions so we can kind of hash it out and figure out what are the best methods of teaching some of the things that's really important, that's really current, that will move our industry forward. I think that's really important. I think that's going to
Yeah.
be kind of our contribution to this, that we become a bit of a brainstorming group of people that really just kind of put it out there and have these discussions. So that's what Floristic Dialogue is going to be all about. Exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, because the thing is with a dialogue, I mean, you're two or more people, but it's always the one speaking that should adjust his or her message so the other ones understand. Because I can feel we have a lot of designers that they speak above the heads of the normal florist, and I want to speak directly to everyone because there is no high and low here, but we
No.
have to communicate in a way so everyone understands, and so we know also how to then pass it on. Because if we're now finding really good stuff, not only with color but other themes as well, the importance is that the word will then be spread. And
Right.
how do
No,
we make our message attractive
yeah,
and
exactly.
understandable? Yeah,
Yeah, understandable is the key, so that
yeah,
it's not exclusive. I mean, exclusivity is something you develop after the fact. Exclusivity
you see, it's a
blocks.
bad word.
Yeah, it is. It is a bad word because it blocks people from joining if you start that way. It's, you have to really understand the subtlety of different words and what that means. It needs to be very wide open and discussed on all levels, because that's when you reach the most people, and when you have information that's cultivated in such a way to reach more people, within the industry, but it also then does that to the consumers. Because ultimately, without the sales, if we don't make a living doing this, then it just becomes just a little hobby, and it's just for yourself. Which, by the way, is also very important. We have to fulfill our own soul to be able to release that, to give as gift to the rest of the world. I mean, there is that, but it takes this discussion, I think.
Yeah,
It really
yeah.
does.
And what
So,
I'm very curious about is what new things I am going to learn through these dialogues.
oh gosh,
And
yeah.
then I mean, not only from you, Hitomi, but from all the participants, because
Oh,
from
yes.
experience, I know every time I have a workshop or a program, I also learn new things. And that's how I develop. I develop through my teaching, but with being very generous with my knowledge, the participants hopefully then will react in the same way. So it's a win-win situation. So I am very excited to see what I will, get out of this and what changes will be made within me as a designer as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a very holistic kind of a process, and I know that when we do the student review, and I want everyone to know this that get signed up into our series, is that the contribution that you make with your example of your exercise or whatever that you do, that is part of the teaching. That is the additional aspect or a different perspective that everybody brings that makes the whole thing even more richer. Isn't that something that it really do become a very synergistic process? It's not the sum of two. I mean, initially there's one in one of us and there's sum of two, but with a group of students, it just becomes like the whole. It's very holistic. I love that. I love that way of thinking. And I love
Well,
that this way
it's
of
an
teaching.
exponential development, and that's what we want to achieve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're starting with color, and we're so excited. We have opened up our website, and you can see everything about it. It's actually a two-part series. There's a January session, and then there's an April session, which actually is perfect because it gives you a little bit of time. The one being sort of the fundamentals, the first one, and the second being advanced. And, this was really originally by request from Per that, he has these parts that are necessary to kind of get through the whole topic of color. And having that space of time in between, I think, has time for things to incubate and for you to kind of start to get, with practice and, through your daily work in the shop or whatever, that you're starting to kind of utilize some of this so that you're ready to dive into that additional information in advance, right?
Yeah, and that's what I like with the whole setup of this. First, we have the two sessions because you need time in between to digest, to practice in real life. And I mean, you're gonna see how many questions and ideas you come up with in these months in between. So actually, it's more value for all of us when we parted in these two parts. So with the fundamental one, you're going to get all the basic knowledge, so you can start playing, trying, testing out things. And with that knowledge you've then accumulated over the couple of months, we go into advanced, where we go into the smallest little detail. What about this or that can change it? But if we put everything at the same time, it will be overwhelming, and you will then just hook onto a few things. The way we do it now, my hope is that everything will, make it into your toolbox of knowledge.
Yeah, it starts to really gel over time. And I think, one of the things that we found out through these virtual classes, and there's a real true advantage to it, to be able to do it this way, because when you try to jam the whole thing from fundamental to advanced over like a 4-day workshop, you just haven't had time to really really work through it.
He told me, when you do it in 4 days, it's not a dialogue, it's a presentation. When we do it over 2 months with a lot of this interaction, we have a dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is a perfect fit for this kind of setup, the virtual setup, I think. So, and we'll have so much more time, with a lot of the one-on-one through the student review, to be able to get to know everyone and get to know everybody's contribution. It really is a very exciting time for us. And I think it's a perfect thing to start off the new year. I think to become a color, like color confident. I think that's something everybody wants, right? Because let's face it, when you look through social media, through Facebook, Instagram, it's all about visual, and people are scrolling like this, just looking at pictures and what grabs you. I mean, that is color. I mean, in most cases, that is color. So let's just become the best that we can be in 2022. Like, let's get a good start on the year by really kind of getting this under our belt, and so that we can become really confident. I know that a lot of students that I talk to, when it's not necessarily on discussion of color, but they say that that's one area they just don't feel very confident. When they want to know, like when you go to the market, how do you search for your material? I mean, again, color has to be one of the first things that you want to address. So if you get color savvy, just think of how exciting even that shopping at the market's going to be for you.
Yeah, because the thing is, all designers have their comfort zones and favorite color combinations, and that's where they stay.
Right.
But if you join this Floristic Dialogue, you're going to be thrown out of your comfort zone and you're going to enjoy being outside of it. Because when I go to the market, I always try to find a new edge to a combination or find a total different. Because by working with things you're afraid of, or you might even dislike some color combinations. For what matter, I don't know. We've learned over the years, but to work with the combinations we didn't even think possible or that we really dislike, you will experience so many new fantastic color combinations that would also be eye catchers. Because when we unlock the secrets of what catches the eye, catches the attention of the people that, actually pay for our designs, then we can make life a lot more exciting for both them and us, and more profitable for us. And that is that is a key as well, because if we don't make money, we can't play with the flowers.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So yeah, no, it's all connected with the successful business of flowers. I mean, it has to be, because that's what we do. So yeah, very excited to kind of roll out this program and roll out this series of the dialogues that is going to be very riveting, engaging, and like. I think, I saw that kind of this feistiness in you, I think, when we first kind of started to have conversation. And I just thought, oh my God, there's somebody who likes to do this. It's kind of a little bit of a jockeying for position, talking about stuff, looking at what, I used to be like, when I was working on the education committee for AIFD, American Institute of Floral Designer, and when we're working on the big textbook. And that's when it's like when you were writing your book. Here we are in AIFD writing a book that's supposed to be the basis and a foundation for everybody to be able to research and find the information there, which meant that it had to be as right as possible. I mean, you had to nail it, right? Because you have to answer for it. If there's an error in it, you have to answer for it. And so I, like these endless meetings that we would have, I would be the devil's advocate, and people just really like, oh no, she's here again. Like, what is she going to challenge us with today? And, but I love doing that, because that's how you dig deeper to understand it more intimately, so that you can have the answers for this, and this, because that's the whole challenge of it. Is there's somebody that's going to say, but what if you did this? That would make that theory wrong. You got to be ready to be able to handle what that answer for that is. And you'll never get that answer until you put that question. So I saw that in you because you do that a lot.
I have a little devil inside as well. What I do many times, you might then experience it over this program as well, because when you decide on a color combination, I will just throw in and say, this color should be in there. How do you make that work? And that is one challenge that's extremely, I mean, it gives so much, because that doesn't work here, Per. Of course it will. Make it work, because that's the thing when it comes to color. We can combine any colors, but we just need to know how to combine them. And we can talk about contrast and we can talk about harmony. But the key in my way of looking at it is to create a complex harmony. And a complex harmony, that is a harmony with a lot of contrasts within, because that's when we create tension. Because harmony can many times be quite dull, to be honest, when it's too harmonic. And contrast can be too easily understood. Two strong colors contrasting. Okay, fine, I've seen it. And the eye searches something else. But when we combine those two things, because we know the eye loves harmony. I mean, look at the wall behind me. There is harmony in this very yellow bookshelf with all the different books, but there's a lot of contrast as well. So what creates that harmony? I won't tell now. I will tell in the program, of course, but it's a little cliffhanger there. But that's one very important part.
Yeah, I think you challenge your students, which is really, you got to take them out of their comfort zone for them to rediscover what they do have inside. It's
Yeah.
so often it's because they're afraid that it's not coming out, like they're hiding it. But once you confront it and you get the answers, then you become much more confident. And floristry is all about confidence. If you're confident in what you do, oh my gosh, you can do
Yeah,
anything.
but confident, but you have to spice it up with a lot of curiosity.
Yeah, no,
Because the
true.
thing is, if you're not curious and you don't question things, because when I was a little boy now, long ago, when I started working in the flower shop at the age of 15, the ladies in the shop, they told me what was okay, what I could do, what I could not do, and what flowers were beautiful and what flowers were ugly. They used that. They said that's an ugly flower. That's an ugly color combination. And what did I do? I used exactly what they told me not to do because I couldn't understand because everything was beautiful for me. So and it was like okay, but and Per, you cannot combine these colors. Say example, a normal combination today, yellow, orange, and pink. I mean, in the 80s, you couldn't. It was red, white, blue. It was yellow and red. It was those basic
Contrast.
contrast-based color combinations. And there I came put together, and they asked me, why do you do that? It's not good. No, I think it's extremely beautiful. And look, the customer wanted to buy it, so I think you're wrong. Your color work is dull. Mine is different.
Yeah.
And
Spicier,
let's check who
intriguing.
sells the best, I told them. And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
the thing. So those ladies, they started to change a bit because we put their bouquets and my bouquets, and then we said, okay, which one will sell?
That's the real true story at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the real test. And that's
Right.
what I will encourage the participants to do in the time in between. Do traditional color work put together beside something that you've learned and see how the customer reacts on it.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
that's
I
a good
know
one.
my theory works in practice, but you need
Right.
to you need to I say try it yourself so you will believe it. Not because I say it, but because you've seen it.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
No, exciting. There's a lot to reveal in these upcoming classes, and it's really cool because what we've done is sort of fashioned it after one of my other workshops that we do, Designing for Excellence, which has it has the demo lecture day, and it's followed by mentor sessions by each one of us individually. And usually it's one in one, but this one, because color is his, Pear's like it's his expertise. He's
I need
gonna,
more time.
yeah, he needs more time, so he's gonna do two mentor sessions to my one, on in between the two, sandwich between the lecture demo. So it's gonna be very complete because he's gonna give you his full, start to the end, right to the advanced theories that he's sort of developed. And I think you're gonna really enjoy it because you'll get a lot of opportunity. He'll be giving you assignments and challenging you so that you'll need to turn in these projects and show that, yeah, this is what I learned. This is what I was able to achieve with this. And I think the challenges that he'll provide you will just make you really grow and become much more confident with color. So really looking forward to it. That's kind of how it's going to roll out. So each one of the segment is the January session has the demo lecture to start, and then it's going to be a week before the mentoring session with Per, and it's going to be a week apart, the two and then one will be sort of in between there that I will do from my perspective, because what I'm going to bring to you is kind of looking at it from my years of teaching and studying the color theory and what it relates to what what Per's teaching, so that you get some different perspective, which is always good. Getting different perspective is always good because that also challenges the whole situation. So that's kind of how it's going to go with the student projects in between that will be reviewed sort of one-on-one virtually. So it's very rich with the right kind of educational experience that I think you'll definitely get a lot from. So really looking forward to it.
And
Yeah.
the good thing with the whole thing is that everyone will get time, because I love the student reviews, and of course everyone can listen in, because I mean you'd learn from having your design reviewed, but I mean you learn from all the others. So the total amount of reviews that everyone will get will be quite impressive, I must say.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's all the
Yeah.
additional lessons because,
Mhm.
as instructors, we can only show so many pieces. But to the
Yeah.
students, you get to see so many more examples. So to review and to discuss. And again, more dialogue, which is
Yeah.
really the key.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it is the key, and from my experience, the participants learn more actually from those reviews than
Yes.
our sort of perfect designs that we show at the start and the end. Because I mean, we work through everything, but they are unquestionable in a way. But I hope they will be questioned as well. But when it's reviews of when you all participants have used the knowledge in your way, it will show so much more.
Yeah. No,
And
absolutely.
it's for that we have to be prepared for, of course, naturally. I'm not afraid of that. Also, you will know
Oh
we will
no.
learn
Yeah.
from what is good, but we will learn even more from what did not work.
Right.
That's my experience from all the years. I have learned most from what did not work, because that
Right.
challenged me even more. And
Right.
I'm very, I mean, I when I've decided to do something, I do it. Uh, but I mean, easy way, you don't learn as much. So
No.
I
No.
hope there will be a lot of challenges, a lot of things questioned, because we are going to learn so much more. And
Yeah.
if you don't question,
Absolutely.
I will question.
Yeah. That's right. That's
So
right.
that there's no way getting around it.
No, 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 no escaping. Yeah, you'll be
No.
challenged. Okay, so I wonder, should we go into like a little bit of Q&A if there's anybody with questions?
Yeah,
I think that would
that
be
would be
fun.
good.
Let's start
Yeah,
that dialogue.
exactly.
Sure, we have some questions. But first, I wanted to just so that if people were wondering and they had wanted kind of a semi-clear idea of how the schedule will go, um, you know, lectures. The program starts January 15th. Starts with a lecture, and then as Parent Hitomi talked about, mentor sessions that will likely follow. Those will likely take place on the weekends between the first lecture and the final lecture, which is on February 5th. And then those two student projects that we talked about, those will fall the weeks in between the mentor sessions
Right.
during the week, being with deadlines towards the end of those weeks. So that
Right.
kind of gives you a general idea. We're still pegging down exact dates and times that work for both Per and Hitomi, other than we have confirmed the lecture dates.
Yes.
But that kind of gives you a general idea of how the 4-week program will go. And the part 2 in April will follow a very similar schedule as well.
Right. And because it's all taped, of course, if you miss any parts of it, if you have to run and go and cook dinner because you're in a different time zone, that's perfectly fine. You'll not miss a thing.
And of course, not only if you miss something, but you also have lifetime access to all the
review.
lectures, all the mentor sessions. Review sessions are also recorded, so you can watch your review back or review of anybody else in the program for as long as you like.
So, yeah, exactly.
All right, so we had a couple questions. First from Ann Peters was asking, I love this topic. I don't have a retail shop, so would there be content that would benefit me who is really a hobbyist?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because color is for our enjoyment as well. And to learn to have diversity in use of color, because so many of us have favorites and we keep falling back to the same thing over and over. Don't you get bored with that? Don't you want to try a new experiment? I think this will open you up into a whole big world of color. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, if you're a hobbyist or a professional, it does make no difference. We are in the need of unlocking the mysteries of color, and I use it also a lot in my garden design work. So if I mean, I do flowers at home, but also when I do my flower beds, when I plan what colors and materials I use the same.
Yeah.
So, yep, definitely.
It lends it. I mean, color is a part of everything. I mean, it lends itself to when you're renovating a room or redecorating. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's universal use, color, the knowledge. So, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Priya was asking, I take part in many competitions. Any advice for that in terms of color, as according to the title, I decided on color. So I guess any color advice for competition work.
Well, I'll let Per talk about that because he's very seasoned with competition, and I have done a lot of competitions as well. And take it, Per.
Yeah, but when it comes to competitions, I mean, first of all, when I thought about my color scheme for a competition piece, I always looked at the judging criteria. What is important here? What need I refill? I have an idea of color and what I want to do, but then I always check: do I have these kinds of contrast? Do I have light and dark? Do I fulfill this and that and that? So I can be very theoretical behind my emotional creative part. And by learning that, because I've taught many competition florists, and after the program, they have usually scored 80 to 100% on color, because they have learned how to think both with your heart and your mind to optimize color in your competition pieces. But that knowledge is valid as well for an amateur or a professional in a shop, but it comes to a sharper point and more important to get the points in a competition.
That's so true. And what I've always taught, in competitive work is finding that little something that the others aren't doing. Because that's the thing, like I know that it's not always comfortable for any designer to be looking at what the others do, because that for so many people is intimidating, because you see something better and then you get intimidated. But you know, as you build your confidence, whether it's in color or structure or, what line, whatever your focus, your area of expertise is, I've always been one that I look around to see, especially with the surprise package, because we're all getting the same thing. I look around to see what everybody's grabbing, and then I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Because the best way to stand out is not to be compared to what everybody else is doing the same way.
Yeah.
And so with color, I would think, if it's a surprise package, it's finding that quirky combination that you can get out of something that's in there that they're not going for, because they're going for the obvious, right? So there you go again. It's to be able to think through that, to be that person that's different and creative. So
True.
Priya, I think it's going to really help with competition work to get a really good understanding of what you can do with color. Fabulous.
And not a question, but a comment from a former student of ours in another virtual class. But Pia Girardi said, not only learning from other florists, but on a global scale, I love learning from florists across the globe in terms of aesthetics, cultures, and what botanicals are readily available. And I'm guessing that color will lend itself to that as well, of what colors are used all over the world.
Yeah. I think we'll learn a lot more than we think. Because, with virtual, we do go global, and we see unusual things like, what is that you're using over there? I want that. It's really kind of cool.
Yeah, and the good thing with going global is that we all have our traditional use of colors and material, but by getting different continents and countries, we're going to get what we call in Swedish a big buffet, a smorgasbord of so much. Yes. Not only traditional color combinations, materials, ways of working, a technique we maybe not have seen. So it's amazing to be online like this, because we can cover so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good point, Pia.
All right, and a couple questions from Kim Jones. First, she asked, this is, I guess, more a question for me. When can we sign up for complete 2-part programs? Web will let me enroll in them singularly, but not full program. So Kim, if you try to register from the homepage of the website, you'll see 3 options. First being the part 1, middle, option being part 2, and then on the far right side, that is where you can register for the full program. If you go to the registration, there's a registration page that you can go to from a couple different points on the home page that the programs are listed vertically. So it's part 1, part 2, and then full program on the bottom. So there is full program options on both those registration pages. Just look for the wording of full program registration.
Yeah, just ask color questions and design questions to us, Per and I. Anything else, admin, please
That's Colin.
go to Colin.
Yeah, and if anybody has
technology.
any issues with registration or anything, there is a submission, a contact form on the bottom of the website. So feel free to send in a message there, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Excellent.
But Kim also was asking, will judging be discussed? I guess color judging.
I think it probably always comes into the picture because as we review our work, our own work, and express what we're teaching with it, that in itself is evaluating what's being created. And so that evaluating is really like judging. Judging is really a circumstance when it's in the competition, when there's official judges versus we self-evaluate all the time what we've created to check to see that check and balances of how we use the elements and principles of design. So it always comes into the picture when we talk about what we create. So yes, absolutely, that there's a definite element of the judging sort of aspect, evaluating to see if we accomplish what we want to convey. Yeah. Right, Per?
I totally agree. I couldn't have said it better because the thing I realized that I judge myself all of the time. When I do a design, I have sort of a checkpoint list and I see, oh no, Per, that you have not fulfilled. So get
Right.
back there. And that is also judging. But for me, it's a checklist. But
Yes.
from checklist, from reviewing in a class or judging in a competition, it has more similarities than differences. So definitely we're going to touch that. And I mean, we will also touch the subjects that you ask about as participants.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
it's interesting, earlier when you, Per, you were talking about doing the unexpected or challenging the convention. When people say you can't do that, then that makes you want to do it, that kind of stuff. And I
Yeah.
think, I think it's invaluable for us to always go to sort of a master kind of a checklist. And I really like that because I do that. I have a 10-point list that are kind of the judging criteria that's related to judging criteria, but I just call upon that every time I finish a design. I go through it and do exactly what you say. It's like, oh yeah, the texture. Oh, I missed that in that area. I could have used a little bit more. We do that inertly ourselves all the time. And that needs to be part of our way for us to do the best that we can. So that will definitely come in. And, because we have like I say, a very competition-oriented, thinking-minded designer here with Per.
Yeah.
It's a great way to be able to access some of the way you see in judging at different times. Like, if you see something that you question because in the competition that you were just recently in, this was what they say. I mean, let's have that discussion. I think that's really important because some of that is subjective and some of it's objective, and we need to know that as well. So it will come up. I know it will.
Yeah. And I think what is extremely important here is that we have to balance emotion and theory. Because we create out of emotion, but we need to check ourselves according to the theory, or we start theory, but then we have to get emotional. But we cannot do only the one because we always need to match heart and mind to achieve the optimal when it comes to any design work. If it is texture, shape, expression, or color, we always have to balance those two things. And if we know, okay, I'm better on the theory, then you have to get let loose and be more emotional, or no, I go emotional, yeah, then you have to check yourself with a theoretical list. So that is how to improve yourself as a designer.
Well, there's a duality to everything because
Yeah.
in designing, are we designing for ourselves or are we designing for a customer? So you have to think in those terms too. And what does it look from the other side? And so
There is only one answer to that question, Hitomi.
yeah, that's right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Because I'm always designing for the customer, if there is an end customer, or if it's a judge, or if it's whatever, but I'm designing for someone else. And the
Right.
more I know about the someone else, the better my design work is. And that's why I will, incorporate a lot of little bit slightly psychological thoughts and ideas into my color theory that you will discover. Because how do people understand color? Not just how should I work with color, but how do other people understand and interpret color? It's important.
Right. It's a real communication tool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. No, that was a good question, Kim. Thank you for that because it brought up a lot of discussion, dialogue.
Well, you now see what happens when you stir Hitomi and me. There
know.
will be a lot.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
All right, couple more questions.
Okay.
When you were talking about checklists, Pia was asking, will Per and Hitomi share their checklists?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
We have no secrets.
Nope.
Nope.
You're right.
All right, and I had to do a Google Translate on this, but Luis was
cool.
asking, when are you coming to Mexico?
Hola, tiene persona. Cuando tú invítame, por favor. Yo quiero ir a México. Claro.
And then he asked another one, so I'll let Per, since he can communicate better. There's another one for Luis.
Por comparativo tu conocimiento tienes pensado algún curso. Yeah. Well, it's all about this, that we share our knowledge, and one is never finished as a designer. We always need to add new knowledge, new tools to our toolbox. And if we can, I mean, we have language barriers sometimes, but I hope this will work. And for those with a, Spanish or Chinese language background, you can get the book that I have in those two languages as well. So it comes in Chinese, Spanish, and English.
That's awesome.
That covers a lot of the world, actually.
Yes, it does. It really does.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, I think that pretty much wraps
it
up. There was one last. I know Deb DeBella said that she jumped in late, but she hopes that she can rewatch. And of course, this live stream will live on Hitomi's YouTube channel and available to watch afterwards as a recording.
I mean,
and
I'll
I think
be
I'll also
posting-
probably be putting
I'll be
this.
posting a link to it.
Yeah,
and
and I'll also probably put this video on the website so that people can
Right.
learn more about it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Thank goodness we have this tech guy.
Yeah.
Like I would know
Everyone can
anything.
be safe, and you're gonna not miss out on anything. It's always possible to view it later on. Good.
And here's
feel
one.
confident.
Here's one last question. I guess
Okay.
this
Yeah.
is the final one. So Yukari from here in Vancouver. She's asked, "What is the trick to help understand people who still are living in old-fashioned color combination?"
What is the trick? That is to challenge them, definitely, because and challenge them with a smile. I've always done that. I've gone straight to the point, like, okay, you've always done that color combination. It's nice, but don't you want to learn more? Don't you want to do something different? Just get out of that comfort zone. Try this. And it goes on, and then you show something, and then, oh no, I could try that. And then small steps can move the biggest mountain.
Well, you know what? What's really interesting, one of the point that you made, Per, when you first started in this business in that shop that had a lot of rules and opinions, It really is in the eye of the beholder. So it's not what's in that other designers that are dictating these rules. It's really what sells. I mean, that's really the best proof. And so
Yeah.
if there's a doubter in amongst your group of people that's sort of stuck on this, and this is what it has to be, because I have to say some of the trends that comes up that lead you to certain colors, like, if you're not confident, then you would use that. But if you're confident, you would use that and bring it to another level that will resonate even more with the consumer. Because it's not just coming from the people that put it out. You're thinking in terms of how it will be received. So really, in the end, the proof is in what the consumers will like. So if you're in a conversation with somebody who's saying this is what it has to be, and you have another idea, a color idea, a combination, then let's put it out there. Let's do two things and put it out in their social media and see which one people like better. Like there's a public survey out there, and color, color, it's the best way to find out. Like, hey. So I think this is the other thing that I really feel very strongly that this is going to be very helpful for a lot of people with their social media posting, to be able to introduce some really cool color combination that you have not used in your feed. I think that's going to be fun for you. I think it's going to be.
And I have a lot in store.
Yay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So join us. We're really excited. I think 2022 is going to be an exciting start with, getting this exciting color thing down. I'm just really thrilled to be working with you, Per.
Hitomi, 2022 is going to be a colorful year. Ha ha.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. This was fun. Are you in Stockholm?
Yeah, I'm in Stockholm, or actually outside of Stockholm. I'm sitting in my house out in the archipelago. So I'm on an island. You're on an island.
I'm on an island. Yeah. Island to island. Good dialogues. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll continue. And we'll get started with the Facebook page soon, the community, so that everybody could start to get acquainted with who's joining us, and so that the dialogue will begin as soon as we get that communication channel started, and we'll just get talking. We'll have fun.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Per, for joining, and we'll just...
It's my pleasure. I know it's going to be a lot of fun, so everyone just spread the word, because it's all about sharing. And Hitomi, and I'm just like her, so then you know me also.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of fun. So thank you for joining us. And I guess today is Monday now. I'm losing track.
Yeah, it's Monday.
I was going to say have a nice weekend, but weekend's over.
No.
Yeah.
I'll also just mention.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, sorry to jump in. I'll just mention for everybody out there that it is today at the launch. We do have really good discounts on early bird registration pricing, so which will end on November 8th, just to give you guys an idea of how long that is available. So other than that,
thank you.
It's good we have. Yeah, it's good we have Colin here for all those things, because you and I, Hitomi, we just run off
with the other stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so see you again soon, Per, and everyone. Yep. Everyone out there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for today.
Have a good week.
Bye.